no loyalty except loyalty to the party.
They're so threatened by the idea that a conservative speaker might be persuasive and interesting and funny.
One man's vulgarity is another man's lyric. And I would say one person's offensive speech is somebody else's challenging the status quo, rocking the boat speech.
Are you looking for a podcast that contains verbal safe spaces and is free from trigger warnings? If so, you've come to the wrong place. Because we expect our conversations to be filled with rigorous debate, discussion, and even disagreement. Welcome to the Socially Sensitive Podcast.
Turn the mics back on. Hello. So, you ready to talk about COVID? Or no? No. We need to. We've hit COVID and politics and Biden and Trump and everything way too much. We need to talk about something a little more fun.
So, North Korea.
There you go. So how about WandaVision? Ooh.
I think we need to do the introductions. We're not doing the introductions.
Okay, I'm your host, David.
Taco here.
And I'm Wolfie.
Hey, you can see us now if you're watching on YouTube. If not, you can still just listen on the podcast.
Sorry if we disappoint.
But so this series has been hyped for quite a while.
Oh yeah,
I know people at work have they're all like, "You gonna watch WandaVision? You gonna watch WandaVision?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna check it out." So it's been hyped for a while, and after watching the first two episodes, I was kind of confused.
Intrigued, yeah.
Yeah, definitely after the first episode. Oh, did we lose you? Oh, you froze up for a second. Thought we lost you.
Oh, no.
I thought you were in WandaVision for a second.
There you go. You're the glitch.
Maybe I am.
Stop it, Ralph. Stop it.
Yes.
Yeah, after watching the first episode, I was, like I said, a little confused, but I was thinking that they were just a quick money grab, that they're throwing something crazy out. But then I was like, well, we'll watch the second episode. And after the second episode, there was just a lot more questions that I was actually looking forward to the third episode, that I want to know where this is going. And then as I've done a little bit of research for this, that finding things and people breaking down. Now, granted, people will examine every number, every hand movement, everything to try and make it into something. But there are a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of obvious hidden things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little helicopter.
I think maybe that's the reason that they released the way they did with the first two episodes together.
Right. I think
because if they would have just dropped that first episode and said, wait a week and let's watch part two.
Yeah, right.
Or, I don't know if I would have came back for that, but because of the way they dropped those first two episodes and you're able to it's a little bit more intriguing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the way I've heard them talk about, because for anybody who hasn't watched it, there's going to be a ton of spoilers here. If you haven't watched it, just shut this off. You're wasting your time listening to us. Watching that show is definitely more important. So if you only have 30 minutes, watch it. Don't listen to us. So go watch the show. But I guess the idea behind it is, as they release each episode, it's going to be a different decade. And it appears like the first episode so far was like in the 50s. And they're kind of playing homage to the old sitcoms. And to me, it appears that the first one is a big Dick Van Dyke, reference. A lot of the way the set's set up, the way when they come in the house, when he carries her through the door, he phases through the door and, drops her, and then opens the door and picks her up, and then carries towards the little footstool chair, and, he phases through it, which is an old Dick Van Dyke episode that is, he would come in the intro to every show. He would trip over the little footstool and fall in some episodes. And then in some, he would, right before he would trip on it, he would like sidestep it and go around. So it turned into kind of like a running gag. This episode, is he going to fall or is he going to miss it?
Right.
So, I mean, they're obviously playing with that. So I don't know where they're going. Listening to one YouTube video, they were talking about, and they thought it would have been better if they would have done it in reverse. Started in the modern day shows and went backwards, as if Wanda is regressing into more older memories because things keep happening. She keeps having to withdraw. And they said, and then as far as a marketing standpoint, that would, if you could do a Friends episode version, that you would bring in so many people that aren't comic book fans that would be interested in it, and then hold them. And before you enter, I don't know how many people you're pulling in with Dick Van Dyke and Bewitch references.
I guess
I enjoyed it, but I'm old, so
I guess it kind of depends on what direction they're really trying to go with this.
That's true.
Because I feel like there's indications that something's going on where it's like an illusion, like it's not really happening, but it is, but we don't really know at this point. Because I felt like after the end of the first episode that at first to me it felt like it was almost like she was in like a VR experience or asleep somewhere, and they're like monitoring her mind to figure out what's going on. But then whenever she done that reverse thing and the end of the second episode, I was like, oh, okay, but it's clear that they don't know. Well, to me, it feels like it's clear that they don't know why they're there at all. Like the main two characters, Yeah,
WandaVision seemed confused by when they ask about an anniversary, or asking about what's the date on the calendar, which I guess we could start at the beginning and just kind of go through and break down by memory, which I don't have that great a memory, but
it seems like Vision doesn't, like he's trying to figure out what he does at his job. It's like paper. It's like what? He works at like the old version of Dunder Mifflin or something.
He just does paper. He does nonsensical paperwork is what he does.
Right.
And that's pretty much, it appears to be that the company is basically there just to do paperwork, because the little conversation that they had in the living room, him and his boss, about, hey, we can, instead of doing it this way, we can put them this way and charge them twice as much money because it's going to be twice as much paper.
Right.
And I'm like, so it's more than just, maybe like he said, The Office.
Yeah.
They're just not, this is not just the old TV shows that they're hitting. I think maybe that might be some kind of homage to that particular show.
That could be too. But, you think about his job. Let's step out of the show for a minute, because, everybody knows the history of Vision, that he died. Thanos killed him when he removed the Witch Stone, the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
The Mind Stone, yeah.
When he removed it, crushed his skull, basically killing him. And he's been, I guess as far as the MCU goes, he's been deceased since then. And there's the scene from the funeral where Wanda or Scarlet was standing at beside the lake next to Hawkeye, or not Hawkeye.
That's Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye. You remember after the funeral? Is it Tony Stark's funeral? When they're standing out the water, and Hawkeye's talking about that he wished she was around to know that we won. And then Wanda says, I think she does. And then she says, I think they both do, implying Vision also. And I saw a clip that there was a cut scene from the movie that ended up not being in it, but I guess it's in either director's cut or something, that of her going to the morgue where they had his body. Vision's body was actually on a table where they were storing it, or his,
Now, here's something. Oh, crap. I lost my chain of thought. Oh, gosh. I hate it when that happens. You talk about you being old.
Oh, yeah.
Sheesh. Let's just keep going. I don't know. I lost it. Whatever it was, it was there for a second. It was gone. So that's whatever.
What's clear too, that Vision, he doesn't seem to be himself throughout all this.
Right, yeah.
Like, even beyond just trying to figure out what he's doing at work with paper, he, like he lost his memory at one point in this show.
Right.
I don't remember which episode it was, but it was like he forgot something, which Vision wouldn't do.
Oh, yeah. It's the beginning with the heart on the calendar.
Yeah.
He said he forgot what it is, which he's incapable of forgetting.
Which he even makes a reference to that, too, saying that he remembers everything, but then he forgot.
Right. So it's kind of like if he's just something she created as a dream, an alternate reality, a memory, if this whole situation is just something she has created to help her cope with the loss of him, that she wants to have a normal, happy life with him, and she's kind of regressed back into her childhood memories of watching television, and so she's going to rebuild it off of a lot of those old memories. So, and if you were to think, well, where would you put a computer or a robot in everyday life? What kind of job would you give them? I mean, if she's her probably limited understanding of, real world jobs. I don't know.
And well, see, and that would make sense as far as this is some kind of illusion that she's made for herself, because if it was the real Vision, like Taco said, he wouldn't have forgotten what that date was marked on the calendar. He would have known. And so since this is a construct of her subconscious, then it's not going to be perfect, or as close to perfect as it can be for a machine.
So I don't know if she's going to, I kind of had the idea of comparing it to at the ending of Wizard of Oz, that, when Dorothy wakes up, all her uncles are there, and you were there, and you were there, and, he was the Tin Man, and he was a Scarecrow, and all of these people are people in her life in the real world, that now she has kind of placed them in here, whether it's Agnes, or any of the people that she's met, like the Hearts, when they were there, the way they act at the dinner table, and the way they speak, and some of the things that they do, they seem more like an in-person, an in-game character. They're not one of the main. They're an AI character run by the game.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me as if almost like somehow she's in a coma, and the parts that are in color are like people around her while she's in this coma, trying to talk to her to get her out of it, and it's where everything pauses and she's like getting a memory of what's really going on, but she's as powerful as she is, she's creating all of this, and it's creating a multiverse while she's in this coma. Even with the radio, when the radio starts going off and stuff, it's almost like that's somebody contacting her through whatever it is that's going on, more questions than answers. like you said.
Yeah, I saw one of the theories that somebody had wrote in one of the groups was that, yeah, I think she's being manipulated by somebody to create this reality with the promises of bringing Vision back.
That very well could be. Her powers have never really been super defined in the comic books.
Right.
And one of the reasons that they did that was so that when they needed to use her, they could, say this is one of her powers.
Yeah, she can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
Whatever we need.
If you want to make a comparison, the Martian Manhunter in DC Comics, he had a whole crap ton of adventures. And depending on what the particular storyline was or what power he needed to manifest, he would just, just miraculously he would have it. So he's actually probably, as far as superpowers goes, he's a Martian. So he's this green guy, but he can change his shape so that he looks like us. He can also go intangible and invisible, and each one of these little, he's super strong. He's fast. He's got a thing with fire. That's his weird weakness. And so, but they intentionally just kind of made him kind of a obscure kind of character and didn't define everything about him from, Jump Street, so that as they went through and had different storylines, they could give him the powers that they needed to push the story forward. And I think she was much like that when she was first introduced.
Yeah.
And so it could be, getting back to what Taco was saying, one of the things is that Xavier, so Wanda's supposed to be a mutant, and maybe, like you said, she's went into this coma type state, or maybe she's trying to create her own reality with her powers.
Right.
Maybe this is one of the ways that they're going to get mutants into the mainstream Marvel universe,
right,
because Xavier would be trying to be there for Wanda to try to use his telepathic powers to try to help her come out of that.
Right. Because in that one storyline in the comics, yes, when she got rid of all of the mutants except for herself.
Right.
But in this Marvel universe, there are no mutants yet.
They could be finally trying to.
Well, I mean, she is.
Well, not in the comics. She was created in the movie. She was created by the blast.
Right. Okay.
So she got her powers from that blast. Not so. And some of the theories have been on this is that this is Marvel's way of using this as kind of a flip flop of how the comics went, instead of her. Because I don't know all the details of how like I said, I wasn't a big comic fan. Well, I mean, I just didn't read a whole lot of the Vision and the Scarlet Witch storylines, but just in what we've been looking up, that had something to do with her, the children.
Watch, by the time it's over with, you'll have Wolverine walking in holding Grogu, the baby Yoda.
Yeah. If it's up to Disney alone, that's what it would be. We need marketing. We need to sell merch.
And that's the children.
We need Wolverine and Grogu in one shot.
But she has twins, and in the comics, who are her kids' twins again?
I do not remember what her kids were from the comic books. I remember that her and Pietro, which is the Quicksilver,
right? It's her brother.
They were brother and sister, and they are also supposed to be the children of Magneto.
Yeah. So,
but now whether or not they'll run with that particular or direction, I don't know.
Right. But at the end of episode 2, you see that she is now pregnant. And if you watch some of the clips of that Disneyplus has put out for the rest of the season, where they do the little montage clips, they have twins. So that by that it's kind of sticking to the storyline of the comics. But instead of her getting rid of all the mutants, she's going to somehow do something that brings them into this universe.
I know it'll happen.
And that's Marvel's way of getting the X-Men.
I know how that'll happen. At the
Go
end
ahead,
of
Tucker.
WandaVision, it will be the beginning of the X-Men Wolverine Origins, where Wolverine and his brother were like twins. I don't remember his brother's name. If you've seen X-Men Origins. And they were
In the comic books, I believe they had something that Sabretooth was supposed to be his brother.
That's in Wolverine Origins. That's what it is. You got Sabretooth and Wolverine. Like in X-Men Wolverine Origins, the movie, like you see them as kids, you know, and they have like one of them has like wooden claws that come out, and the other one, you know.
Well, I believe those would probably be bone instead of wood.
Yeah, well, you know, look like wood, but yeah, bone.
I mean, I get it.
And that was before they got him and put the adamantium and all that in it. Good movie though. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yes.
Do they have Wolverine Origins on Disneyplus? I assume they do.
I would think.
They probably do. I haven't. I don't think I've seen it though.
I have to check because
They just dropped a whole bunch of X-Men stuff just here recently onto Disney Plus for so that you can watch it.
Yeah. Which I think they made Origins not canon anymore. Which is because it had Deadpool essentially in it but he's not Deadpool at the time. Same actor, but he's like I don't even remember what they called him, Weapon X or something.
Well, that was Wolverine's handle. I'm not sure. Of course, now they may have given it to him too. It's hard to tell.
I can't remember what the name was. Like I said, it's been years since I watched it, but it's essentially Deadpool because you see him before they turn him into Deadpool, wielding his swords and whatnot. And then at the end of the movie, he's like some new weapon that he has Cyclops' vision. His mouth is sewn up because they said he talked too much. And
Yeah, that's why I looked up her in the comics. Her twin sons are William and Thomas, and then they ultimately become in the Young Avengers, Wiccan and Speed.
So basically, she has kids that basically mirror
her and her brother. Which her brother, they were twins. So,
right.
So
one of them's a witch, and the other one's a speedster.
Right. But
that's interesting that they would do that.
Now I don't know if that's where they're going with this show, but that's how they come. Like I said, I think the main goal is for Marvel to get X-Men into the MCU. I mean, ideally, that's where because they have the franchise now.
I think that's probably you're right with that one.
And this would be a unique way to do it. So
maybe we'll finally see Hugh Jackman in the yellow Wolverine suit.
That would be cool.
You see the mask, and what was it? The Wolverine, I think was the name of the movie.
Yeah. Now, when they ghost color, you notice that she's wearing all red.
Yeah.
And she's pregnant. And that goes along with her being the Scarlet Witch, I suppose.
Yeah.
She's the red, all the red.
Yeah. Well, have you seen the clips, any of the clips of the farther ahead episodes? There's a Halloween episode.
Haven't watched any of that.
It looks like it's probably the 7. It might be tomorrow night or tonight's episode, the 70s. It might be the 80s. It kind of has a Stranger Things Halloween look to it. But he's dressed. How is he dressed? I can't remember how he's dressed. She's dressed in the classic Scarlet Witch comic outfit with the red wing mask and.
Right. And he's got I think I've seen a picture of that. He's got like the big the yellow diamond on his chest.
Yeah, I think so. Because I just remember him holding a little pumpkin candy bag thing. Remember the plastic.
He looks kind of like the comic introduction from back in the 70s Vision.
Yeah. Yeah, the yellow and green.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, when I was little,
those two pops are out right now too.
Yeah, we actually have one of them at the store, I do believe. The Wanda, I guess.
But we're all over the place. Nobody's going to have any idea. Somebody could have watched the show, and after listening to us, they'll have no idea what we're talking about. Now, I guess we could start and kind of just go through the show itself. Yeah, so far, like you said, they've released 2 episodes. They released them back on the 15th of January, and there's supposed to be 9 episodes run all the way up through March. And this is officially the first phase of their first series in phase 4 of the MCU. And yeah, this takes place.
Well, like a lot of comic book characters that we have today, Vision or the character itself has a very long history. I think they originally introduced him somewhere back in the golden age of comics.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly what he looked like, but I do believe that's where he comes from. And of course, he got revamped by Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
And they made their own character out of it. But yeah, the character itself is there's a long history there.
But Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, she's played in the show by Elizabeth Olsen, which I didn't realize till just recently that she is the sister of Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
I never would have known that either.
That's interesting.
And they actually have a 4th sister too, but
that's a whole lot of girls.
Yeah, the other 2 girls with their clothing line, and I mean they're billionaires. And then Elizabeth here is not doing too bad for herself.
Well, one's got a clothing line, the other one's probably got a drug and rehab line, and she's in this one.
she runs a little rough, I think. I think they're both pretty fine now, but yeah, they had well, like any other child's actors growing up, they had their struggles, but.
Well, I mean, look at Miley Cyrus. Back when she was Hannah Montana, everybody's like, oh, she's such a role model for your children. Then just a few years ago, she's up on stage on a giant porcelain man part, spraying it on the crowd. And yeah.
Listing this, there was an interview with her, Elizabeth Olsen. She was talking about that this series is going to bring her character, she said, more in line with the comic book version. So, said including depicting her mental illness and introducing more of how the Scarlet Witch actually is.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'd be good. One of the things that started off in the first episode, the commercial, if you notice the Stark 2000 toaster.
Oh, yes.
The only thing in that is the little red flashing light.
Right.
Yeah.
But you hear the sound when it fires up when they turn it on?
Yeah.
It's the Iron Man, the I can't do the sound.
Jig.
Yeah, the pulse firing up sound.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, that's the only red there is that one little bitty flashing light. And I didn't get that much into it, but I wonder if it's flashing in a Morse code pattern or not. I don't know if it is or not because I don't know Morse code.
I haven't seen anything on that, but I bet if it is, somebody is digging into it.
If you're out there and you're listening to this,
yeah,
check that out.
Check it out. And
that would be interesting if there is like whoever's on the outside of her, the reality that she's created for herself, trying to send messages into her.
Right.
And that little, flashing light, maybe, of course, it could have just been just a little, just like beep, 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 kind of just a countdown kind of thing. Who knows?
But Paul Bettany, yeah, he plays Vision. So, and listing a little history of Vision, yeah, he lists him as far as the MCU goes. He's an android and former Avenger created using, is made from Jarvis and Ultron, but with the Mind Stone is what I guess. It's the the top.
I think that's what brings it all together.
Yeah, it's the top hat of the Frosty the Snowman that brings him to life. They should have had him burst through the glass case when he was born and said, "Happy birthday!"
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, said that he described Vision as decent and honorable, and he exists only for Wanda.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, in Avengers, not Endgame, the Infinity War, I swear I remember a part where he actually hands Thor his hammer, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
I thought so, yeah. Like, he just picks it up and was like, "Here you go." And everybody's like, "What?"
And for Thor, that would have been the ultimate proof that this individual is, if he's worthy to pick up Mjolnir, then there's got to be a purity in this newly created being that,
Right.
Yeah.
most people just don't have.
And I liked it. We rewatched, before we started earlier, we rewatched the Age of Ultron, the birth sequence, I guess you'd call it, of Vision as he busts out when he's standing there talking to him. And, Thor's standing there next to him. And Thor has his big waving cape on. And you see Vision looks over at him and he does a little thing with this thing. So a cape pops up on himself, kind of like he's wanting to, be like him.
Yeah, emulate him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is interesting. Like I said, and that would be his, because like when you have kids and stuff like that, they want to be like their parents.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's just now basically come to life, but he's, instead of being a child, he's a full-fledged adult appearing. And like I say, he sees that and he emulates what he sees.
Yeah, because he would technically have
Right
the
off the
innocence
bat.
of a child,
Yeah.
Being just born, he would have the innocence of like a newborn. Because he doesn't really have the experience of life yet, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are, going through the characters, Mrs. Hart and Arthur Hart, which is in the episode, is when they see on the calendar, they have the heart marked on the date. And neither one of them can remember why that is. But it had to build up for some sort of problem happening in the sitcom world.
That's the way the sitcoms were back in the day. Of course, they probably still are now.
It's usually some sort of little miscommunication happens when they're on the phone talking to each other about, she thinks he's coming home for her, and he thinks she understands that he's bringing house guests or dinner guests, and they, have their little miscommunication.
And a flying lobster.
And
And Mrs. Hart was the mother in that 70s show.
Yeah. I always liked that.
Which I always liked that character. I thought she was kind of cool.
Yeah, Deborah Jo Rupp. And then Fred Melamed.
I don't know whatever he's been in. I don't know.
I've seen him before, but I can't place anything that I've ever actually seen him before. But I recognize his voice, I think, more than him.
He may have done animated work. He may have been doing voice work. Then,
Yeah.
possibly. Since we are dealing with Disney Studios, it's not beyond the realm of possibility,
Right.
that they would bring a voice actor in to be like a co-star.
Right. And then Catherine Hahn plays Agnes, and everybody says that, she's Agatha Harkness from the comics. So Agnes she's the nosy neighbor that's always there, always helping lead and guide
Always
Wanda in
sticking
the
her nose
direction.
in.
Right. But Wanda obviously has, I guess if you're looking at her own free will as to where she's taking this. But Agnes seems to be helping influence her decisions. And
Yes.
Wanda seems to, I guess, respect her opinion. So she's asking her for help. Even like during the dinner party when things start crashing, she yells out her name, Catherine. And because isn't that when they think Vision, they ask Vision why she yelled that, and he says didn't he say that's like his pet name that she calls him?
I think
I
so.
can't
Yeah,
remember,
something like that. Yeah.
It was a name. I don't remember exactly what it was though. But then he called her Fred.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they started singing. What was it? Their song. Their song that they sang.
It's right on the tip of my tongue. If you hadn't brought it up, because it's been stuck in my head ever since I watched it.
Yakety yak.
Yeah.
Don't call back.
Yeah.
Or don't talk back. Whatever. Yeah.
That was their song. So yeah, he sang that when Mrs. Hart was about to open the doors.
And then we see the lobster again.
Yeah.
I like that lobster. Leave me
Just
alone.
floating around.
Yeah.
But then, and then of course, Wanda uses her magic to whip up a meal. Which I
gotta ask this question. With the last, if this is actually Agatha Harkness, what is the deal with Harkness all of a sudden being the last name for? Is this kind of like you used to in the old black and white movies? You always had like the 555 phone number.
Yeah, this is
because she's not the only character that has Harkness as a last name. You've also got Captain Jack from Doctor Who. His last name is Harkness. So I don't think there was probably no connection there at all between the two characters. But what is Harkness now the new like 555 phone number, from back in the day? It's like, oh, all these characters, we're going to give them this. They're going to be named Harkness.
Could be.
And then you could like have a Harkness family tree.
Yeah. She and who is another? So when they're going through their dinner party is with the Hearts is when when Wanda's making the meals, it didn't make sense to me how when she changes clothes, she just snaps her fingers out of her nightgown thing into like a cocktail type dress, nice dress. Because she has kind of unlimited power when it comes to stuff like that. Why she would be floating things around to put them up and to mix stuff cooking on the stove. Why didn't she just make it?
Wasn't there like an old black and white show where they kind of did that? Like, I don't think it was like Bewitched or something, but they just kind of moved their hands around.
Well, in Bewitched, I think she used to do a lot of that. She would float things to put it up.
Maybe the thing where she pops into the dress, I think that was probably a Bewitched.
Yeah.
Just a call back to that, because I think she used to do that. She would pop off into the kitchen or whatever.
Right.
And she would snap her fingers and something would happen. She would, or she would tinkle her nose, whatever it is that she would to activate her power.
But if you have that kind of power, why would you, which I guess in Bewitched she did it too, when she would put things up, like put the kids' toys up, she would have them float through the air and move. And I guess maybe that's why they're doing it now. Because she obviously can just at the snap of a finger make the full meal, because she prepares it all in the last second, the breakfast for dinner.
Well, that meal, the breakfast for dinner, she literally did do it by like a snap of a finger, essentially. But the lobsters, for some reason. Yeah,
she was going from trying to manually or to use her powers to stir a spoon in a pot to cook something instead of just snapping and making it. But
well, she also tried to snap and use her powers to cook the chicken, and she ended up overcooking.
Overcooking, yeah. And then she rewound
like
the time.
Along the lines of Taco. She has this amazing reality bending power. She could have snapped her fingers and just had the whole, 3, 4, 5 course meal just boom right there. Because instead of all this trying to follow all these recipes and stuff like that, of course, that could be because as we said, we're working under the assumption that this is a reality that she's created for herself, probably from her childhood memories
Right.
of watching old sitcoms.
That's true.
So maybe,
She's
something
under
along those-
the restraints are the ones that she's kind of placed upon herself. That
Yes.
She can step out them anytime she needs to or wants to, but she doesn't.
Well, yeah. Well, that would kind of explain the dinner party, because if it's based off of her memories per se, then maybe the memory of breakfast for dinner and what was there was a very strong memory for her, but she didn't know how to cook chicken and lobster.
That could be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the thoughts of how they're taking it, but
there again, if you have a reality based powers the ways hers are, then you really wouldn't have to know how to cook it. You would just
Yeah.
boom, make
you
it
would
into
think,
existence.
hey, I need prepared food now, and I want lobster and I want chicken, and I want them done perfectly. So, I mean, and like I said, I don't know exactly how her power works, but you would think that she would be, because like Taco said, the way she put together the breakfast for supper thing going on there, there at the end,
that was
that
pretty
came to-
instant.
Yeah.
that came together just like nothing at all.
I don't know. But then, so then she makes it, and then they go to sit down, and of course, Mrs. Hart starts hitting her with all of the questions. Where did they come from? How long have they been there? Why do they, how long they've been married? Why do you don't have any children yet? Hitting her with all those questions.
And then the weird loop thing happens when the guy starts getting choked.
Yeah. And you can see the look on, Wanda's face is almost like she's confused. That it's happening, and then Mrs. Hart gets in the
stop, or whatever she was saying. It was like a
Yeah.
weird
Well, if you'll
record.
notice the way that those two characters are shot, there's the way that they're shooting her. There's something kind of hinky about the way that, and it's not necessarily a focus thing. I don't know, but
It's
maybe it is. But when I watched that scene, I just got done watching it again. And when I seen that, like I said, there was something weird about the way they were shooting her. And then when it was time to shoot Wanda, it was like Wanda was there and the background was in focus and everything was just so.
Yeah.
And she was like, Vision, help him.
Yeah.
And of course, Vision gets up and helps him.
It almost had a horror element to it.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of the feeling I got when I was looking at it, like a horror or an old suspenseful or an old Twilight Zone shot. You have that scary movie look.
Mrs. Hart's, the only thing I think was with her, like I said, the background was kind of fuzzy. You could see her and she was okay, but her background, you really couldn't tell. But it's just the way that they shot those two different characters in that scene. Like I said, Wanda was in focus. Her background was in focus. Everything was just so.
Right.
And with Mrs. Hart, it was like, okay, she's in focus, kind of, but it was just like something. It just seemed a little off about her. And her background was kind of fuzzy. At least I thought it was.
The grin, the laugh, everything.
Yeah. Something
it was
happened
all
in
just
the...
kind of,
It's a glitch in the Matrix, and the person playing the game in the simulation, the batteries ran out in their controller, so they got stuck. So they had to hold on while I run and change my batteries.
Kind of like a break in the fourth wall without it actually interacting with us.
And then because as soon as Vision pulls the food out of his throat where he was choking, he's kind of gets up and is like, oh, well, it's time to go.
Like it didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And they okay, let's just go.
The end of the day.
And granted, that is how most sitcoms ended. You would have some unrealistic problem that's going to happen because of some miscommunication between your two main people, and it builds up, and then a 30-second resolve, and it's over.
Like, oh, you.
Yeah. You're right. So.
And of course, at the end of it, he gets the promotion. Mr. Hart says he's got this promotion.
Right, and that's how they
come Monday
always.
morning.
It always always works out in the end.
Yeah.
And so then we go into episode 2, where they're
The magic.
yeah, they're going to Wanda goes to, I don't remember the lady. You remember at the pool party Is that Darcy? Is that who the one who? Because I know Agnes takes her there.
No. Yes, she does.
And then they
Now,
have kind of an odd interaction with the mailman. What? Wait, no, that was.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. At the beginning of this episode, they still have the furniture from episode 1.
Right. Yeah, but I think some of the. You froze up.
You get the transition from 50s to say 60s sitcom.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you look at, well, we'll wait on that for what at the end of the jump at the end of episode 2. But I guess we kind of skipped over the helicopter when she hears the noise outside.
Yeah.
And then she goes out and sees the helicopter, a little toy helicopter in the bushes. And it's, the only thing in color.
And that's when she really fades out. And that was honestly another moment similar to that choking scene that I felt. There was like a suspenseful, almost horror thing, like it shouldn't be there.
Right.
And then she just kind of snaps out of it all at once when I think that was the mailman sequence, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what.
Well, the neighbor pops in.
Because Agnes pops in and she hides the helicopter.
And the mailman comes through the shot. Yeah.
Right. And she's like, pew, pew. And he's like, don't shoot the messenger. I'm only the messenger.
Literally, he is a messenger being a mailman.
Yes.
And now, of course, the helicopter had, which it's been turning up quite a few times, the sword, the sword logo.
Yes.
Which I saw a thing talking about in the comic book, SWORD stood for Sentient World Observation Response Division. But people have pulled off of this one, it's Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division. And so they're talking about Vision is a sentient weapon.
Well, so would be certain mutants, wouldn't they? Wouldn't she be considered a sentient weapon because of her powers?
I don't know.
And she would be sentient because she's a human.
Yeah.
Pretty much all humans are sentient beings.
Yeah. And is at the end of the last Spider-Man, is that not where Nick Fury is on the sword? Yeah. When
he's somewhere in space.
Yeah. I was thinking he was on the sword.
But that means that the Nick Fury that was in that Spider-Man movie was not really him the whole time.
Right. He was a Skrull.
Oh.
He was,
Something else to
Skrull.
point out, too.
Skrull.
At the very end of episode 1, I think I figured out who that person was watching the screen. At the very end, it was David. Because they have the same mixing table that
they've
we're
got
using
the exact
right
same mixing board we've got right here.
That's it exactly.
Because just it pulls out, you're like, it's right there.
Legit, same thing.
Yeah, that's a weird ending sequence for the show.
Yeah.
The way that happens.
But then Agnes talks, Wanda in when they're going, the importance of her going to the pool party or the pool.
Right, because her friend is the one, her neighbor friend there is the be all and end all of everything. All the social life in the city or in the town that they're in revolves around her. Which, that's, if that's true, then this person, if what we're assuming is this is a Wanda created reality, then whoever this person is has got to be somebody that's really, really important to her. I should think.
It's for the children.
Whether it's a a teacher, a mentor, maybe a parent, or an adopted, or maybe a foster parent. Who knows?
Maybe it's the kids already born. They keep saying for the children.
But you never see any children in any of the shots around the neighborhoods, anywhere, even at the park. But yeah, they go through the pool party, and of course, that's when when she tells him that the devil is in the details, and that's what's Agnes say. That's not the only.
It's not the only place he is.
Yeah.
Well, now, and here's something else that I found kind of strange, is they got onto Wanda, or not necessarily in a bad way, but about her showing up in her pantsuit, and everybody else was in skirts. But at the very beginning, when they go back out to the back to do their thing by the pool,
right?
Somebody's there in what appears to be, I think it's a bikini, and they jump off the diving board into the pool. We don't ever see that character again.
Oh.
Or really know who that character was, because that was just a quick little thing. I didn't even think about that while watching.
I think they're at a public pool, though, aren't they?
No, they went to her house. Didn't they? I thought they went to her house.
Oh, I was thinking they were at a public pool. They might be at her house. I was thinking it was a public place because of the gazebo and stuff that they're in.
Well, now they did come. They came out of her house and came down the sidewalk.
Yeah. And
then the next shot is they're at the pool. So they may very well be in a public pool area. I don't know. I was just thinking that they just had went like to their backyard or something.
I'm not sure on that myself. I kind of zoned out there for a minute.
Also, the Agnes says that she's the neighbor on the right-hand side, but then when they actually come out of Wanda's house and go to the right-hand side, it's not her house. It's the other lady's house.
I don't.
Because when they first meet her in episode 1, she comes through the door and she brings her a plant. She's like, "Oh, right. I'm your neighbor Agnes on the right-hand side, not your right-hand side, my right-hand side." So she's facing in like this, and her right-hand side's on this side.
On the right.
They leave. Wanda's number is 2,800.
Yeah, and hers is 2802.
The next 2802, and it's the house right beside of hers. Right. So that's not Agnes's house. Wouldn't be that one.
No, yeah.
Another glitch in whatever Matrix.
Another glitch in the Matrix there, yeah.
It reminds me, honestly, of that Rick and Morty episode where they're on the ship and they have Rick and Morty in the weird simulated town trying to learn about fuel. They're on an alien spaceship, but they're in a simulated version of their life. So almost every character except for like Rick and Jerry are real people. Rick and Jerry are the actual real people, but Morty and everything else was a computer simulation by that aliens trying to learn a type of fuel from Rick.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, I think it's in season 2. And like as they'll go around, like they give certain characters more of the AI capacity than other characters depending on who they're around. So if they're around Rick, they're very super more intelligent. Right. But if they're around Jerry, because Rick don't even know Jerry's in the simulation, he'll go to talk to somebody and the guy will just go, yes. And that's
how some of these people act when it's kind of like, they're it's an AI. They're not passing the Turing test. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like, I can tell that's not quite real. This is kind of off topic, but I started using this app. It's called Replica.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's an AI friend. And you text with it, and they have conversations with you. And you can carry on any kind. You assign them names, and here's the thing. And then you can get into having voice conversations with them and all kinds of stuff.
Years ago, I had a MSN Messenger. It was called Smarter Child, and that's what it was a little AI computer that you would talk to. Very basic. Like, you could try to have conversations with it, but if it didn't know, it would respond back.
Some generic thing.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't stumped her. Now there's been a few times it's kind of like, that kind of could be a generic answer, but I could see a real person giving that kind of I'm not quite sure answer. But I haven't tried real hard, but just tried normal conversation to see how it would flow. And at first you're kind of like, this could be a real person on the other side.
I think some of those aren't they?
I remember talking to Siri when I first got my iPhone, and that was just a frustrating thing because you would say one thing, and she would bring back just totally different.
Yeah.
So to combat the frustration, I gave her an English accent. So that way I can think, well, maybe there's just some kind of miscommunication going on here. But anyway, back to Wanda and Vision.
WandaVision.
We're getting off topic here again.
Easy to do.
All right, Dottie Jones, I found it, is the mom who rules the neighborhood with an iron fist. But Dottie is the one. Which her and Wanda have the interaction after the party is over. Talking about Wanda walks up and thanks her for letting her help her, clean up. And Dottie, what's Dottie say? That she's heard some things about her and her husband. And then she never
gets
really
serious though when she's
right.
When she does
You think she's about to lay out some sort of news, and then the radio starts making noises, and
her
you hear
glass
static.
explodes.
Yeah. But the voice on the radio, people have dug into the credits at the end. They didn't put it in the main credits. I guess because they were like, we don't want it to get out who that person's voice is. But I guess if you wait till the very, very, very end of the credits, when they start doing the foreign language versions, I guess they forgot to pull it from one of those. And so it's the actor in, what is his name? Woo. Is it Jimmy Woo? He's from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agent Woo. I can't remember. I can't remember. I had it pulled up, but Jimmy Woo. I can't find. He was a parole officer of Scott Lang. Yeah, of Ant-Man.
Yes.
But for somehow he's a part of it. But like I said, all this could be she's pulling memories and pieces, kind of like when you have a dream at night. I mean, your dream is made up of things that you've experienced and you've pieced together to create this idea, this dream in your head while you're sleeping.
Okay, it's the subconscious working, which this could be her doing that.
Right.
We've pretty much, I think we've come to the conclusion that this is what she's doing. Now, why she's doing it and
what's influencing her to do it, if anything.
Because the radio, if you remember, the guy on the radio is like, who's doing this to you, Wanda? He's asking questions.
Right.
Because either she's doing it to herself because of guilt, survivor's guilt over Vision dying and her not.
Right.
Or someone is attacking her, and to basically save her sanity, she's created this false reality around her to try to keep that person out and keep that person from affecting her.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so
she's under attack.
That's what some of the theories that I've seen people have been posting, going through all the, because there's a ton of Facebook groups and everything for the show already. It's either going to grow into something incredible or it's going to be a big flop. But I guess that's it.
Well, they've only got, 8 episodes?
Nine
and
total.
We've seen 2 so far.
Yeah. But they said that they believe that she created the reality where he exists and they're a happy couple to, like you said, to deal with the loss of losing him. But by doing that, this reality is affecting the real Marvel world. And Sword is now monitoring it and trying to stop her.
Yeah.
They're trying to bust through.
That is a possibility, but there's also, like you said, with the rabbit being named Senior Scratch, which is Old Scratch, and then you get into the Mephisto end of it.
Right.
In the Marvel universe, he's supposed to be the devil or something like that.
Pretty much.
So, if that's the case, then maybe that's a clue that it's Mephisto that is attacking her psyche, and she's had to pull this reality together. And I'm sure maybe a part of it is the fact that she's mourning the fact that Vision's dead, but maybe the exterior force of Mephisto attacking her caused her to create that, plus her own guilt, her own survivor's guilt of having lived through that and Vision not.
Right. And she's created, her own reality bubble, and that's what there's been some theories that's how the series will end, is with Doctor Strange showing up.
See, there's it seems like
affecting her reality bubble.
Like all the colors, like with the helicopter, the weird scenes that almost feel like horror, the radio speaking the way it does, it feels like those are breaks from outside of whatever that reality is.
Right.
Like you don't know if she's hooked up into like some type of machine and they're trying to break into that. If somebody has kidnapped her, the devil or whatnot, and they're putting her under the influence to create this world. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could go. It's almost because there's so many times that not only do the other characters don't know where they are or how they're acting, she doesn't know why certain things are happening. And 1 second, everything's normal and fine. And then, like with the helicopter, she just freaks out, zones out. And then that other lady pops in to break her out of that like thought pattern and bring her back into that reality, almost as if they're trying to pull something from her. Maybe the reality is being created in her mind, but not by her. And whenever she starts to finally break out and realize it's an illusion, is when those other characters come back to bring her back into it and pull her back into the reality to get whatever agenda they have. You know, I don't know, but a lot of different directions it could go.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Lots of fertile ground there that they can play in.
And like David said, it can either go really good or really bad.
Yeah.
Right.
It depends on how they play it, you know. And we'll find out as the weeks progress.
Yep.
And
for the children.
One of the things people have wrote was each time she adds more detail in the reality in the episodes, the more the reality area expands. You can see it in two different shots in the trailer that it does this in the first. The first is where Monica is on the ground and a beam of light from a spotlight from a helicopter. Later you see the reality bubble is up to the cars in the observation rooms, huts. I haven't seen that part of the trailer, I guess. Like I said, there's a lot of people who've seen a lot more stuff or dig a lot deeper than we did. And they put Vision will become more self-aware as time goes on until he starts to remember their life before Endgame.
Which makes you wonder if it's a new Vision, or if maybe they have Vision's body and they figured out a way to power it without the stone.
Yeah.
And maybe it's part of this illusion as well.
Well,
or she's
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. If Captain America was supposed to take the stones back to where they were supposed to be, then
he'd have to put the Mind Stone back.
He would. He would have to put the Mind Stone back inside of Vision, because that's where it was at before the snap happened.
Right.
It was in his head.
Curious.
Does it show that part? Because I know it shows the other ones him taking.
No, it doesn't show. I don't remember it showing any of his taking the stones back to where they're supposed to be. It just, he disappears, and then later on, just a snap of the fingers later, there's an old man sitting on a park bench,
right.
And it turns out it's old man Steve Rogers, and he hands a shield over to Falcon, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't know. I'll have to go back and actually watch Endgame again to see, because I'm sure there's probably connections in that people haven't seen or realized yet.
Ooh, something that the same time they launched this WandaVision thing, they also launched I think it's called Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
And so you can go in and learn about the first two that they put on there since they released WandaVision was Wanda Maximoff and the Vision. So you could go in and it would give you a breakdown and it would show a bunch of the scenes of them individually. Here's a bunch of, Wanda's history just put together for you real quick. And here's a lot of the stuff that the Vision, and then some of it was with them together. But I thought that was kind of interesting to kind of refresh yourself on the characters.
Yeah, because it's been a while. I mean, even since just Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man is a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so how long has it been since Endgame? 3 years? 2.5 years?
Yeah, I don't know.
Been a few.
So with this, this is something that, they can roll out a little more often. And then Loki is coming out this year too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many episodes of it, but it'll be a series.
Yes.
So
Now, one of the things that about Endgame that kind of bothered me was the fact that I don't think they used the Thor wielding Mjolnir quite as well as they should have, because the enchantment on the hammer says that whoever can wield Mjolnir will have the power of Thor.
Yeah.
So he should have been throwing lightning bolts and, Asgardian strength. That's all a part of being Thor. And I've heard some people like, oh, they didn't go far enough. And I don't think they did. And some people say, no, they went too far. No, they didn't go far enough, I don't think, with that.
Well, I thought they killed off Thanos a little too soon, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Infinity War movie was leading up to that final snap, and then right at the beginning of End War.
Well, what's the next big villain? Won't it be at the end the after credits of
Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, Kang the Conqueror at the end. That was at the end of Endgame, wasn't it? Or was that Spider-Man was the post credit was Nick Fury on the spaceship.
Right.
Well,
I can't remember when they showed him.
This is on topic, but I really doubt any of us will be able to catch this right off the bat, because I know none of us do this. The game Fortnite, they done an event where you're fighting a galactic. It's from Marvel, but it was like a galactic.
Galactus.
Yeah, something like that. And he's massive. Like maybe it was him, Galactus. Maybe all this maybe has something to do with it.
I don't know. Because I was thinking that I saw that Kang was supposed to be the big villain as a part of the next phase, not this phase, because this is starting off phase 4. He was supposed to be phase 5, and then the phase 4 where they're doing this, Loki, the Black Widow, the new Doctor Strange.
Well, the way they set up for the Endgame stuff, they in the movies leading up to Infinity War and Endgame, they fought other bad guys,
right?
And there were other things going on at the same time that this guy was going on in the background. So,
right,
maybe Kang is going to be the big bad guy in season or in part 5 or whatever. But I dare say they'll be leading up to him, Doctor Strange fighting. I think you said
Mephisto.
Nightmare.
Yeah, Nightmare is who they're going to introduce, but I think Mephisto is going to be the big ultimate villain in all of Phase 4, because he fits in better with Scarlet Witch, with Doctor Strange, more of that style than Captain America and Iron Man which I know they're not in it now, but then they're that type of battle. It's more of a magic, mystical.
Right. And that would make more sense going that route and having Mephisto as your big bad at the end of, or for season 4 or part 4. How is it they do that?
Well, with more of the magic stuff appearing, that would also make more sense with the mutants finally appearing in that universe, connecting the X-Men with the normal, the Avengers and Marvel as we know it now.
The mainstream MCU.
Yeah.
Is what we would call it, I guess. And because the X-Men were never actually in that, but now you can bring them in through Wanda.
Right, here's a thing I found that I pulled. Said, however, the currently released episodes have already dropped a few hints at the influences in Scarlet Witch's world, as one of them may be Mephisto. With several shows and movies releasing in the next couple of years, Marvel needs a major villain to bridge the gap after Thanos' defeat. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania is setting up Kang the Conqueror, another power player to possibly be the running villain in Phase 5. But Phase 4 is so far missing a clear antagonist, which will probably be Mephisto.
That's where I would put my money.
Yeah. Because I don't think Nightmare himself is a big enough thing, is it? I wouldn't think.
No, I think maybe he's. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he may be one of Mephisto's lackeys.
Right. And it said Mephisto's introduction has already been teased in Loki.
Mm-hmm.
But it may come sooner than expected in WandaVision.
Well, if you've got Loki and Doctor Strange, and like I said, you're trying to get the X-Men into it, you could have all three of them basically outside of Wanda's reality that she's created for herself, trying to get her out of it herself. Trying to spread, because Loki, his magic based. Doctor Strange, of course, is the Sorcerer Supreme, and Charles Xavier is one of the greatest telepaths or whatever on the planet. So he may be, they may be doing something on the outside trying to get her to come out of the state that she's put herself in.
Yeah.
Well,
you said, go ahead.
I was going to say, what is the name of the new Doctor Strange movie? Sam Raimi's the one making the movie. I can't remember the Multiverse of Madness. So if they're introducing a lot more of the multiverse aspect to it,
maybe that's what WandaVision's leading into, is the Multiverse of Madness. And whenever they pull her out of the state that she's in now, it, like you said earlier, it would merge with the current world, but that don't always that wouldn't turn out good at all.
A rip in the space-time continuum.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it would feel like. Kind of like the Upside Down from Stranger Things actually merging with the world in Stranger Things. Same kind of deal with her created universe merging with theirs, except there's not a giant tentacle liquid people monster.
I did. I threw up a question on one of the WandaVision Facebook groups asking people that we were getting ready to do this podcast, asking them if they had any questions that we could kind of think over. Here's one of them from Christopher. It was question. Said, we saw all the references to sword pretty clearly, but the first two colors she sees are red and gold. Could this be a message from Stark?
Which, if it is a message from Stark, since Stark's dead, it would have to be like a message from beyond the grave.
Or a different multiverse.
But that would also
it could be. It could be. That may be a way that they're going to get the dude to come back and do another Iron Man movie.
Yeah,
or making another appearance is to pull him in from a different reality.
Well, part of that theory kind of makes sense too, because the first color you see is the little red dot on the toaster, which is Stark Industries with the Iron Man noise.
That's true.
Red and gold helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
So it either all means something, or it's just she's playing with the deck she has.
Yeah.
Because that's the sounds she knows, and the images she knows, and the names she knows, and the voices she knows. I don't know. But it's possible. I like the idea of more of a multiverse, and let's just mix the whole thing up.
I keep on thinking that at some point in time during the Iron Man movies, when he's down in his workshop working, didn't he threaten to turn one of his little computerized assistants into a toaster?
Yes, in the very first movie, it's the one with the fire extinguisher, because it kept spraying him, and then he's like, "Don't."
But all right, we've got another question. It's from Edward. Who is the person coming out of the sewer hole in the bee suit? Don't know.
I wonder if it's something symbolic to her memories, because as soon as she sees it, she's just like, she says don't or no, one of the two.
And then she rewinds
it, and then instantly, after she rewinds, it's like that was a memory that she didn't like, whatever that was, because then she speeds up, and it's like the show moves like 10 years further into the future.
Yeah,
everything around her changes. Yeah. So whatever it was something she was trying to avoid.
Well, it doesn't show the guy's face.
It kind of does, but it's so blurred. He turns right as she says that, but it's blurred. You can't really tell.
Yeah.
Anything beekeeper related? It's kind of dark in her movie, Captain Marvel movie.
Well, no, but it's got the sword logo on the back of it, and most people in the comments have all been saying that it is it's not a beekeeper outfit. It's just
like a chemical suit.
Yeah, it's like a Fallout suit but he has a beekeeper helmet on. But there are bees swarming around him.
Yes, there are. Well, what they're saying would make sense if she's, let's say, inside of a room and she's in this comatose state and she's created her own reality and everything around it. You don't know what's in the room, so you get suited up in a hazmat suit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Probably got your own oxygen supply. Go into the room, and then once you come into the room, she's now aware of you, and instead of being in a hazmat suit, she changes it to a beekeeper suit. And of course, if the guy's going to be in a beekeeper suit, he's got to have bees flying around him. And so there you go. But the sword logo, I believe, is on his back when he comes up out of the...
Yeah, it's a big on his back.
Well, maybe
that manhole wasn't there in the daytime.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe the manhole was actually a break in the reality, and that was an actual biohazard suit of somebody in Sword breaking into her reality. And when she's like, no, that's her rewinding and sealing it back off. Who knows, maybe even killing the guy. Mm-hmm. Just to seal her little bubble back up. They broke into the bubble, and then she's like, no.
That could be.
But once they went outside and they do a shot down the street and there was no manhole cover there, and then all of a sudden at night when they go out, her and Vision go out, all of a sudden there is a manhole cover being squished, and the guy comes up out of it. So
it's just a glitch in the Matrix.
She doesn't have an iron fist control of the reality that she's created. Someone on the outside is being able to affect what is going on.
I wonder
in her reality.
I wonder if it's in moments that she becomes vulnerable, like that she kind of lets her guard down a little bit. Like when she's with him and sees her pregnant and they're kind of happy and she kind of lets her guard down a little bit is when something pokes through.
Dinner party and the choking. Yeah, everything.
When things are just starting to go well, and then something happens too.
That would kind of make sense because, like I said, in that dinner party thing, once the dude fell off the chair because he was choking, Mrs. Hart they film her different than they film Wanda,
Right?
Because, like I said, she's got kind of a different thing going on. She's kind of in focus, and mostly she is in focus, but the background's not. But then when it pops over to Wanda, Wanda is like, she's just everything's in focus on Wanda. Everything is, and the background is in focus, and she's just, it's just, and she's just perfect, and she's like, help him, and so that's her reasserting her dominance over what's going on,
Right.
I believe.
So yeah, her stepping up then. So here's another question from Lizzie's. It's question: is this all leading to a Young Avenger series? I guess it depends where they take. If they follow the line with her twin sons and go down that line, then that could be the Young Avengers.
It's true. I mean,
Could be.
it's just constantly for the children.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Well, let's not forget that not just Young Avengers, but X-Men.
yeah,
They're
Right.
supposed to be, Xavier's School for Talented Young People, or whatever it is that he does.
Right.
they're all children.
Yeah.
So
All of
they're
that
all
is for
children
the
there,
children. Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
for the
whole
chil- for-
this whole series is to get the children here. It's for the children. So
Yeah.
Marvel can
To
get another 35 movies out.
About mutants now.
Ben had a question. It was, is Agnes the nosy neighbor really Agatha Harkness, a villainous witch? Yes. I have a microphone in front of me. I'm an expert. Yes.
I don't have a microphone. I'm not an expert.
I think all signs point to yes. If you're going to shake your little magic 8-ball.
Well, what we need to do is we need to, and we probably should have done this already, but we probably should look up Agatha Harkness
Yeah.
in the Marvel Universe and see what she is.
I think I have some audio clips from Agnes. Let's see.
Wanda, charmed.
Or maybe I could just be myself, more or less.
Oh, Wanda.
Morning, Agnes.
Stick 'em up.
Don't shoot, I'm just a messenger.
Pew, pew. The only way Ralph would remember our anniversary is if there was a beer named June 2nd.
And June 2nd is the day the Salem witch trials happened.
Let me tell you, what Ralph could really use is how to goose your wife so you don't lose your wife. Not that Ralph ever wants to eat anything other than baked beans. Are you sure you don't want an audience volunteer named My Husband Ralph?
The devil's in the details, Bev.
That's not the only place he is.
Yeah, see, that solves it right there.
Yeah,
She's
lot
a
of
witch. No, I don't know. It so far it makes sense to me. I don't see and that fits with how she's acting and how she treats her, Wanda. So Gary has a question. What is sword and how does it relate to Wanda's powers? A lot of people aren't familiar with sword and it can get confusing. I'm not real familiar with sword.
Me either, honestly.
All I think I know is that they're an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Like we said, I just knew that they had slightly changed the name for the
As a matter of
MCU.
fact, in one of the Avengers animated series, they started Sword after the Avengers defeated Kang the Conqueror. The ship that he had was called, I think, the Damocles. And they were able to capture that and use it as their platform surrounding the world. Well, not necessarily surrounding the world, but in orbit around the world.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps any or not.
Yeah, and you look it up, it says, Sword is an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D., but since the departure of Nick Fury as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., relations between the two organizations have become strained. And in the comics, Sword had an undercover operative in the X-Mansion in Astonishing X-Men. So,
Okay.
And there is an Agnes Harkness in the Marvel Universe, and she is also a witch of sorts. I don't know if she's a mutant or not. I didn't read that much into it because it's a very detailed biography that they got going on here. But yeah, she appears to have powers similar, I guess, to Scarlet Witch's.
Says during the 2008 Secret Invasion storyline, Sword's headquarters, called the Peak, is destroyed by a Skrull infiltrator. And at the end of the Spider-Man, aren't there a lot of other Skrulls working in the ship he's in when he comes out of the little beach scene? Doesn't he kind of claps his hands and tells everybody to get back to work? Nick Fury.
Yeah, walks out of the holodeck.
Yeah, and I was thinking that there were a lot of I don't know. That's getting into areas that I haven't read much. And
okay, it says in her wiki that she is a highly skilled magic user. But she's also an older lady. I mean, a whole lot older than Scarlet Witch.
Right.
Like a grandmother type looking person. But, it's not the MCU universe, the TV shows and the movies. They don't have to go exactly along with the way that the comics go. So
not only that, but considering the possibility that all of this is somehow a simulation that she is being influenced to create, that might not even be what she actually looks like in physical reality. Yeah, because we don't know what reality is at this point.
Right. Well, so somebody they have wrote, perhaps the grand story of WandaVision has even more tricks up its sleeve, and the multiverse will turn out to be a bigger factor than Wanda's reality-bending powers. In one of the many, many possible futures that Stephen Strange saw during the Avengers Infinity War, was there one where Vision eventually regained the Mind Stone? So is this an alternate one where he's alive? And if we're dipping into those possibilities of the MCU multiverse, Vision might not be the only resurrected character in WandaVision.
No, but that, like I said,
Like
if the whole point of Captain America going back into the past and putting the stones back where they were supposed to be, then it would come to reason that since Vision had it, he should have it again.
Right.
And maybe he is alive again on the outside and he's trying to help. We got Loki, Strange, and Xavier so far. Maybe even this Agatha lady on the outside trying to help her come out of her created reality that she's made that she's retreated into of her.
Right. And basing it off of her losses with, Vision, then that's what so Petro could be speeding around somewhere alive too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that character.
I'm curious to see where it's going to go. The new episode, comes out tonight at like 3 a.m.?
Yeah, I think so.
Debate if I want to stay up late enough to watch it, or if Elaine will let me.
I'll probably watch it sometime tomorrow.
Yeah, probably after I get off from work, I'll come home and check it out.
But, oh well. I guess we've beat this dead horse a little bit.
Yes,
we talk we talk about things we don't know, and we know things we don't talk about. So,
oddly enough, that tends to be the case because we could have episodes for hours about this.
Oh yeah, I got some WandaVision.
That beautiful wall of toys.
I got some WandaVision ones over there.
You probably should have had them out on the desk since we were talking about them.
I know that would have made more sense. Or pop them up here.
Yes, something.
Oh well.
Well, we'll have some Star Wars stuff to talk about here in the coming month with whatever their first new series that hits is. So, there's a lot of stuff out there.
All right.
Yeah, they're about to launch a crap ton of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, in a galaxy far, far away, it's getting pretty crowded.
All right. well, we can go ahead and wrap this up. So hopefully this will be our first shot at shooting a little video. Get it up on YouTube, and hopefully can edit this together. Try our hand at that. If not, the podcast will be up tomorrow. Friday morning, the audio. But either way, check us out on, go to sociallysensitive.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Socially Sensitive. You can follow us on Twitter for the time being at Socially Sense.
You can even wear your own socially sensitive coronavirus mask.
Hey.
Coronavirus diaper. Face diaper.
It's a face diaper. It's a coffee filter. Get it?
There you go.
Or you can go to the website, buy T-shirts. We've got all kinds of merch on there. You can support the show. Or go to Anchor. If you listen on Anchor, we have a link to leave voice messages, and we'll play them on the show. I've had a few people ask how to get to it, but they still won't leave a message. Or follow our Facebook group, Socially Sensitive Podcast. And
if we could get a big enough following of people that they're actually interested in what we have to say, I think it would be really cool that in the future that we can have maybe a live person call into the show and ask us questions.
So far, Facebook has been the most interaction on any of it. But it's slowly growing. Each episode is a little better than the last. But
as time progresses, yeah. I mean,
who knows?
Just keep asking us questions. Anything, send it out to us. We'll do what we can. Or, yeah.
All right. Well, for that, then I guess we'll see you next time. See you out. Thanks for listening.
Bye, y'all.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and a review. To catch all the latest from us, you can go to sociallysensitive.com and follow us on Instagram at sociallysensitive and on Twitter at sociallysense. Thanks again, and see you next time.
Somebody pray for me. The homies in the sky gon' have to wait for me. I can smell your lies. Watch what you say.